Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Douglas, and this is the next episode of Deploy Friday, brought to you by Platform.sh. On today's episode, I have guests from a company called Linnovate in Israel. I'm happy to welcome Elroi Marom, Zohar Stolar, and Netanel Goldstein. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Great. That was perfect unison. Everybody said it at once. So on today's show, we're talking about a piece of software, a web application that these gentlemen and their company have developed, which is called OpenideaL, which is an idealistic way to manage ideas, I take it. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, what it's good for, how you use it, and all of that. But it's worth mentioning right off the bat that this is a Drupal distribution, once again highlighting the great power of the Drupal ecosystem for making specialized vertical packages of the Drupal software that are geared towards solving one use case, but still retain the entire flexibility of the Drupal software. That also means that you can get this from Drupal.org, I believe, as well as the GitHub link that's in the show notes for this show. So you have plenty of chances to get the software and test it out. And I will mention right up front, when you look at the GitHub page, there is a deploy on platform button. And if you click that button, the unsurprising result is that you will be running the OpenideaL software on Platform.sh. Okay, with that intro, I'm going to kick it off to Elroi, and I'm going to ask you straight up, what is this software and what would I use it for? What is it? What does it do?
Thank you, Robert, for inviting us. So OpenideaL, it's a project that started a few years ago. Started with the government wanted to get the voice of the people, to get ideas from the people, to listen to them, to understand, to have a direct contact. But very soon after that, enterprises realized that this is a very good solution for them, and they adopted it, either to hear their consumers or to hear their employees, to ask their employees and to bring them to the effort of finding new solutions, new services. And it was, I assume it was successful because suddenly we saw many downloads. As we Linnovate, if people don't know, we are a software company that focus in transformation of enterprises into the new era. And we play in the open source. So everything that we create, usually we release it as an open source software, and OpenideaL was this the same software like we do for all our solutions. And after a short while, we suddenly heard about new solutions that became, or new ideas that became products, and that was something we liked very much. I can maybe share a little bit, a few examples later about how this software helped organizations.
Yeah, thanks. Great. That does help a lot. So Zohar, maybe I think your role in this is the product owner, product manager. Is that correct?
Indeed.
All right. So what are the features?
The features. All right. So the OpenideaL is a community of ideas. So by default, you will have all the tools for managing community. Before even getting to the ideas part, out of the box, you can manage community. Community means that you can have users, and you can have groups, and you can have comments and notifications, everything that allows a community of interested people who share the same interest, ideas in innovation in this case, to communicate together, to talk to each other, and to flourish together, to create things in a better and more efficient way. Our goal in OpenideaL is not just social activity. It's about taking an idea from its very first form, like the grain, and water it and fertilize it with the involvement of many people around an idea to make this idea a real thing, to take it from something that happens in somebody's mind into something we can touch, feel, and see in the real world. Features, we can add ideas, we can discuss about the ideas, we can vote on ideas, we can take an idea to a closed group. We can share the idea with a group of experts in different areas. So the idea, each idea, first of all, gathers all of the people who are interested in the specific subject for which the idea has been created. They discuss it. They, there is an author, Ursula Quinn, I think her name is, that said that ideas are like grass. The more you walk on it, the more you crush it, the harder you are with it, and then you chop it. That makes the grass stronger. And ideas are just the same thing.
That is a very brutal philosophy. So you've got to crush the idea, chop the idea, break it down.
If I found, she said it in a more poetic way. That's only my transformation of her poetic sentence.
Right. So, Zohar, you're having a little bit of internet connectivity problem. I don't know if you have an alternate connection that might be better. But what I heard in all of that was that the first and foremost, or maybe the ground layer of the software is to manage the people involved with the idea generation and idea curation, and that there are groups and there's commenting and messaging, meaning that people can be aware of each other and self-organize and maybe be aware of the activity that they're interested in monitoring, and that within the context of this human organization comes the creation and workflow around an idea. Are there like different stages of ideation involved? What is the workflow like?
Right. So I just hope my connection is better. So an idea goes from draft, where I'm discussing with myself, to the ideation phase, where it is open to the community. After that, it goes through the review phase. Review is where experts come in and give their opinion, and there is a discussion between them and the authors. So I'm saying authors because an idea can have multiple authors, a group of people that promote it. After the review phase, the idea goes either to accepted, postponed, or rejected statuses. The nice thing about using Drupal as the basis for OpenideaL is that every organization can specifically craft this workflow. If you have a different flow of innovation within your company, and that is usually the case, innovation process is very unique for each organization. So you can go in and change the moderation workflow and give it a whole different flow.
Right. That's always the advantage of using Drupal, is the configurability and the extensibility. So as I'm listening to you describe this product, one thing that it reminds me of is a website called We the People. Were you guys familiar with that one?
Hmm?
Yeah, Netanel, did you know that one as well?
Yeah, I did.
Is it similar? Are we in the same ballpark here? Did Obama copy the Israelis, or was it the other way around?
We all copied, I guess, the same tendency of crowdsourcing for ideas. Obama came after us. Let's just make things straight,
Okay,
right?
so we're clarifying this now. Obama definitely copied the Israelis. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But we copied my Starbucks, so maybe we could give some credit to the Americans.
So by transitive property, Obama was copying Starbucks.
Yeah, if you want to prepare a lawsuit, I think that there will be some dollars around it.
Yeah. Okay.
So somewhere around 15 years ago, I guess, and that's around the same time when Drupal also, as a content management system, became more popular than it was before, whereas the internet became more community-oriented, and enterprises discovered this idea of crowdsourcing and outsourcing their R&D. Why limit our R&D to the 10, 15, 20 people that work within our company when we can get ideas from 5,000 people or 50,000 people, which is the case, for example, for the Strauss Food Consortium in Israel, which was bought by Nestle. So Strauss is like, if you buy food, whether it's coffee, milk, chocolate, I don't know, snacks, whatever, it would all be, at the end of the day, part of this consortium, this Nestle consortium. They ran this campaign using OpenideaL, and they asked everybody, what would you like us to produce? What product do you miss in our variety of products? And you had all these crazy ideas of like coffee with banana flavor, and I don't know, chocolate with peanuts on it and whatever. So you had thousands of ideas, and they did produce some of them, but one thing which was phenomenal is that they discovered that there is a huge community of customers that looked for gluten-free products. You know, the people who are sensitive to gluten, and then this was something that was not very widespread 20 years ago. At least not in the. We didn't have like a whole section in the supermarket for gluten-free products, and they suddenly saw.
So by putting this website up and engaging with their customer base, they skipped the phase of customer research, which is usually like, you know, organized interest groups or study groups or customer feedback groups where they, you know, have to go out and do quite laborious information gathering from small representative groups of people, and they actually just asked everybody what they wanted. And because it's easier to organize information digitally in that way, they were able to deal with 5,000 idea submissions.
Yeah.
Is it ever a problem that when you submit an idea, you feel like you're not being heard because you're just one of 5,000 ideas and like they're not going to read them all? No way.
Well, what OpenideaL did is, and I'm answering your question, it focused in the idea. As an entrepreneur myself, I know that there are many ideas. Every week I hear about a new idea, about maybe for business thing, but to purify an idea till it becomes a business till you execute the idea, it's a long process. So the OpenideaL helps organizations to focus in the idea stage. Now, if you take the example of Nestle, so in that case, companies like Nestle, they use a method called voice of customer. So I'm going to the customer and I'm asking, what do you need? What do you need? So usually customers, if you ask them this way, they would tell you, I want this, but cheaper. I want this, but I want to go to the supermarket and I don't want to have a queue. Trivial things in most cases.
Marginal or incremental improvements to the existing experience.
Yes, but
Exactly.
not always at the same way they would also behave after that. Like, and there is a big difference between when you ask someone what he wants and how then to compare to how he's going to act or what he's going to do. For example, I participated in experiment for publishers at that time that people complained, all the users complained about they don't want to see so many advertisements. And they wanted a advertisement-free newspaper, online magazine. So we gave them an option. We told them, why don't you buy, would you agree to pay few dollars to have a free, ad-free? And the answer were, of course. In most, like 80-90% of the answers we received was like that. But we created an experiment. We took a region in the world, in that case it was Australia, and we offered them to buy for $3 or $4 for something very low, a subscription for ad-free newspaper. And you know what happened? No one bought it, even when we reduced the price to $1. So there was a difference between what people told us they would do and how they really acted. So the OpenideaL also helps in that direction to purify the ideas. It generates the ideas. I mean, people generate the idea because not they ask them, what do you want? Because they ask them, what is the problem you see? And then what would be your solution to that problem? And then their colleagues would tell them, this idea is good or it's not good. And there become a conversation behind this idea. And then this process purifies if the idea makes sense or doesn't make sense, if it's feasible, not feasible, and it helps. And we see success in those areas. So, and of course, in the last years, the OpenideaL focus more in the commercial side to help organizations, businesses to find new services or new products or how to improve, and less compared to the government or surveys, as we were at the beginning, to hear the voice of the people, because we see there is so much demand, because governments, they hear the people, but they are limited what they can do. So it's very, very fast. The system doesn't help anymore.
I'm glad you said that about the limitations, because I was thinking the whole time about the We the People website and how noble of an idea it was, but that they were not able to implement every idea that came through. And it became, in some ways, a sounding board for people's anger or rage at the system in general, and some of the things that were proposed were not totally realistic. And I mean, it was sometimes disappointing to see an idea posted that would have a lot of support from the general public, but then clearly not be actionable by the government. My favorite example was when somebody proposed that the Pentagon build the Death Star. The Obama administration actually did take the time to politely and in Star Wars themed language with references and all decline the idea, and that no, it probably wouldn't be a sensible project for the United States government to build the Death Star. But thank you for your submission.
We have many examples, unfortunately, that decision makers stop adopting such technologies in the public sector, because they were afraid if the good ideas they cannot fulfill and execute, then what will happen to their leadership? And they decided to kill it. But in the business side, we found more demand, because in the end there is companies, they want to improve themselves and wants to make sure they will not be Kodak example, that they will disappear. So it's for them to innovate themselves and to find new product, new services is a matter of life and death.
Yeah, totally. So Netanel, who are, as the marketing person on the call, who are your competitors? What if I'm going and looking for ideation software, what do I find on the market, and how do you position yourselves in that field?
So, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a good question, and when someone's looking for the idea management software, there's I would say definitely a few out there, and different platforms that can be used for idea management. But when you talk about something open source and something that's been developed throughout numerous projects and based on different experiences working with the government, you've come to really a mature open source software that's very much customizable, depending on the different companies.
Okay, you didn't mention anything. What are the actual competitors?
Well, there are a few competitors in that market, if I may say. But again, what we focus were on the customization, the self-service, and the open source. So in that that combination is quite unique. Actually, we don't know any open source solution that has many that really fits into that market. In the corporates, there are solutions like market solutions.
Right. If you go to the SaaS solutions, commercial solutions, you see a solution called Crowdicity and another one called IdeaScale. QMarket is another one. All of these are SaaS-based solutions, as opposed to OpenideaL, which is currently being proposed as a sort of an on-premises solution, whether it's on-premises old style or whether it's on a private cloud or on a platform like on a cloud like Platform.sh or other providers where an organization may have their account. They would install the software on their own. So there are commercial solutions, SaaS-based. None of them, from what we've seen, have the ability to do on-premises installations, and that's as has been said right now, is a blocker for governmental sector or other big enterprises that have hard, heavy regulations where they need to have all the information stored within their facilities.
Well, even if you're just a European company at this point, then you've got the GDPR rules and regulations, and you've got to worry if you're bringing another SaaS vendor into your portfolio, whether they're GDPR compliant, and how your customers might feel giving their feedback to ostensibly possibly a foreign country company. And all of those, and you get around all of that by taking over the hosting yourself. Of course, you then you take on the responsibility and the burden of hosting a web application, but many organizations do that anyway. So if it's one more site in their fleet of sites, and it's on a well-known platform like Drupal that's fleet friendly to begin with, and maybe if you're using our solution at Platform.sh, which is like, all of those things wrapped up, then the total cost of ownership would be quite a bit lower than a SaaS solution. And you'd have your own data and portability and future-proof, et cetera, et cetera.
You own everything from the data to the code, the domain name, stuff which sounds rather trivial, but when you go to a SaaS solution, sometimes you do not take these things into account and you end up with some vendor lock-in. So definitely with regards to this, and it's quite surprising, but we do see OpenideaL as a unique player in the open source arena and the on-premises arena.
So Zohar, you provided me in chat with the quotation that you were referring to earlier.
The more poetic
I want to read it out, and we can get an audience vote about whether Zohar's version or the original version was actually more poetic. So the original version was, "It is of the nature of idea to be communicated, written, spoken, done. The idea is like grass. It craves light, likes crowds, thrives on crossbreeding, grows better for being stepped on. And that is by Ursula K. Who's K?
Le Guin. Ursula Le Guin.
Oh, okay. I don't know her.
For some reason, I only took the last part of being stepped on, right?
Yeah, you skipped the crossbreeding altogether.
Right. Well,
yeah, thanks for that. So, apropos SaaS, software as a service, do you envision this product ever being offered as a software as a service product? Is that something that you've envisioned? Do you want to talk about it? Zohar's nodding his head. He's giving things away. Elroy's keeping
Elroi,
a poker face.
I think Elroi wants to say no. We are in the process of Go ahead.
We have been thinking of the SaaS solution. There are some things that we need to explore because Zohar mentioned, but if I looked at the customers and the users that use today OpenideaL, most of them are enterprises. Most of them, they use sensitive data there. It's connected to their Active Directory or single sign-on. And sometimes it's also connected to more systems inside the organization. So if we are looking at those customers, so definitely we would need, I would say, I don't know if SaaS, but it's on-prem and maybe PaaS. So when customers deploy it on platform on their account, from my point of view, it's on-prem because this is their account, this is under their responsibility and administration. Regarding SaaS, yes, we see also customers that ask for SaaS. We are still exploring this. It's in our roadmap, but we need to understand better if those customers maybe they would use it lighter. So no Active Directory connection or SSO connection, or maybe not so many on-prem integrations. So definitely SaaS would be the answer. In many cases, we also customize the workflow, the ideation process. So for one organization, they need a specific workflow because the information is confidential. So first of all, it has to go into a small committee. They approve it for the other engineers inside the organization to be exposed to. And this organization is different than other organization, which is more consumer-based, that all the employees or all the stakeholders inside the organization, they have the same credentials or the same classification. So we're still exploring that, but definitely it's in our roadmap because SaaS is easier to implement and even cheaper to the customer.
I think it's an important distinction. So when we say SaaS, do we hear like a per user payment or per idea payment? That's how our commercial competitors often
they charge per idea?
Not per idea, but for a bulk of ideas. Yes, or you may have,
Don't
like
their competitors
in your
come
community,
in and then flood them with ideas like, hey,
no, but you may have, like, for example,
I'm going to go in there and like
look,
recommend every combination of chocolate on earth, chocolate with mustard.
That's a good
idea. Bad idea will cost them money.
Only for good ideas. They charge for good ideas. No, but they could charge, for example, for like if you want your community to have 10 users or 50 users or 100 users or 5 admins, etc.
Yeah, SaaS pricing is difficult, and there are many metrics that companies use to try to squeeze that next dollar out of you.
Exactly. We think of SaaS at the moment more from the direction of an easier engagement with us, not necessarily for the measurements of like usage metrics and how to bill you more dollars at the end of the month, but more like to make the flow of installation and engaging with us more fluid. Recent and of course a welcome development in our code base is that since the last version, everything is easily installable using Docker, so you can much more in easier much easier to install on your own cloud. If you have Kubernetes, you can just throw the Dockers over there. We also have, and that's, I'm jumping away from the SaaS, but just a side note about ease of installation, that obviously using the latest Drupal 8 and soon Drupal 9 version, we do have a Composer installation, so it's even easier to download and install on your own facilities. But certainly for SaaS, we are looking at integrations with, for example, Platform.sh to make remote installations easier and more fluid.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And obviously with Platform.sh, you also get the benefit that it's not just SaaS, but it can be PaaS. And Elroi mentioned PaaS, Platform as a Service. And for me, just speaking frankly, having spoken with other Drupal distribution vendors and knowing a bit about Drupal from my history, Drupal actually sits really, really well at the Platform as a Service level, because its strong selling point is precisely its extensibility, the fact that you can go in and you can get into the themes and the the templates, and even at a for like just a graphic designer level, do the Sass and CSS and the templating to customize the look at the code level. And if you have PHP developers, then you can, do your own integrations if they're missing. So there's this really natural fit for Drupal products at the Platform as a Service level, where the assumption is that there will be coding at the code base level in the engagement at some level. Now,
Right.
It sounds like you guys fill that role for a lot of your customers, but if they're not going to rely on you to actually build their site for them, then they're just taking it and going away and playing with it on their own, and you don't have any contact with them.
Indeed.
Open source.
That's open source. That is the open source community right there.
Sure.
On the other side of things, we do have more exposure to a wider developer community and the community in general. But it's true that we are looking for ways to strengthen our engagement with people who download the system without engaging with us, thinking of how not to do it too intrusive, but maybe to inject some commercial content into the distribution itself, like just host with us or engage with us or customize with us or something like that.
It sounds very familiar. You're probably well aware that in a previous role, I worked with the Commerce Kickstart Drupal distribution quite a bit, and we also tried to find many ways to have that distribution come out of the box with some natural, unobtrusive methods for contacting the creators of the Commerce Kickstart distribution in case you wanted more of something, right? More support, more customization, more hosting, whatever it was.
Right.
So that seems like a natural way to go. Apropos integrations, I was wondering, are there integrations with third-party systems that come out of the box, or you mentioned Active Directory? What are some of the common integrations that you see, and how easy are they to do? Are they like click and OAuth handshake and then you're done, or is it more involved?
Yeah, so it depends. We got for everything which is like the social logins is just a simple handshake, or just put your ID in the right place, and then you can log in with Facebook, Google, GitHub, etc. One of the biggest additions, the most important additions to the current version is the use of webhooks. Same as we know from any other modern platform, that we have events in our system, and these events fire webhooks, or that they trigger. You can use them to trigger requests to webhooks in external systems like Slack or Jira or current integration we are working with Oracle on, which is using their artificial intelligence engine, where you'd be able to send all of the ideas to their AI engine, do whatever magic and analytics and analysis on this data, and then bring it back or do something with it when it comes back to OpenideaL.
That sounds really fascinating. Can you go into that a little bit more? I mean, sorry to interrupt with the integrations, but you really got my attention with that artificial intelligence. So like I send all of my 5,000 product ideas for Nestle products to Oracle's artificial intelligence, and it sends back what? What do I get from that?
So in most cases, what we're discussing with them is two things. One is simply like simple text analysis, where you would propose to join to join another initiative. If another initiative exists already, we want to share.
So like product recommendation, but for initiatives.
But when you create an idea, we want to avoid duplicates, right? We want to avoid duplicate ideas because we want to merge and converge efforts, so we don't compete with ourselves. Mm-hmm. So this would be one case. Another one would be to identify other products or services that come out of these ideas. A third option would be sentiment analysis, where you would, try to, if it's a public campaign and not an internal one, then obviously such systems also allow people to release some steam. So it's not always the happy customer that comes in. But either way, happy customer or unhappy or unsatisfied, you want to get their sentiment about specific ideas and specific products and do something with it.
Yeah,
what do you do with it?
As a product owner, you always want both. You want the advocates, right, the ambassadors, the people who are going to like shout your praises from the mountaintops, but then you also want the people who are really disappointed and upset by what your experience that you've given them, mm-hmm, because only then are you going to find out how you're losing customers or where you're holding yourself back with your product.
Exactly. That's the as we said before, without running expensive market analysis and researches, you can get an immediate approach and reach to your clients without the mediation of marketing and whatever departments that intervene in the way and filter the information. So it's nicer for the decision makers. There's also another integration that we did for the D3 JavaScript library, so you can generate nice graphs and much more appealing data visualizations of the information that we are generating, the ideas that are being managed in the system, and we are actually using our own webhooks to do it. So we do have a way to gather some demographic information about the users, and then we combine these with information about the ideas, and we try to create nice looking graphs and visualizations that at the end of the day this system is tested for the enterprise decision maker. They need to take all these 5,000 ideas and choose one, which will be the next king. So we try in various ways. So we have the votes, and we have the activity around an idea. And we try to combine and give the idea an overall score that is being used later on to identify those successful ideas. So an idea that gathered like 1,000 comments or votes are not necessarily two identical ones, right? if I'm saying something very, very stupid, like let's go to the Capitol Hill on Friday and have a fireplace, right? So
No. Don't make me kick you off the show.
But this is an example for ideas which are not necessarily good ideas, but would attract a lot of likes and votes, right? As opposed to an idea which is serious and attracts many interesting
like the
people.
Death Star.
Exactly. More positive and realistic idea. But so we would give more. We would use such AI systems to identify which idea deserves more attention on our decision makers' side, for example.
How about engagement? So I would imagine if I went and like pushed the deploy on platform button and spun up an OpenideaL system and configured it, and I wanted ideas about whatever I want ideas about, what should be the next episode of Deploy Friday, let's say. I think that the biggest challenge I would have would not be the 5,000 ideas. I'd be happy to get 5,000 ideas in that case. But the engagement, getting my audience or stakeholders or customers or whatever to actually participate. And I would imagine that these days, that especially in the enterprise or the corporate world, but even in the government world, that people are probably asking for things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever integrations, so that they can easily generate engagement on the ideation system by going to where their constituents actually spend their time, which, as you know, is on Instagram, doom scrolling, looking for the next fashion idea or whatever. So how do you get to those people?
Yes, we got the all the obvious and immediate share to social buttons. So you can immediately share and spread your ideas outside of OpenideaL in social networks. This is one option. Internally, the system has the platform has a system of notifications and updates. So you will always see the latest comments and the latest votes and the latest ideas that were generated. You can send this feed also outside to a Facebook, to your Facebook page, or to your whatever social account feed, and then bring people back into the system. We used to have a widget that would allow you to vote on an idea directly from the social platform. This didn't survive the migration to the new version.
The Drupal 8 version? You mean because of voting API?
Voting API held us back a bit when, for example, when we considered moving to Drupal 9.
Yeah,
and it also broke the installation a
into that
couple of
too.
times.
I was sad.
Yeah, but I think we I mean, it does come through. Now installation doesn't break anymore because of voting API. You don't have to clear cache immediately after the installation.
Yeah, we are talking about Drupal modules.
Right.
We should never do that, but we are.
That's nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect, and that's the beauty of the world we're living in. There's always some interest.
Voting API deserves special mention because it was so beautiful when it was new. It was so beautiful. It was so perfect. Like, wow, this is why Drupal is great. And then, I think it's abandoned. Anyway, moving on.
It does look a bit, it does look a bit drier than it was before.
I can jump in.
If it's not abandoned, I didn't mean to insult the people who are currently maintaining it. Sorry.
Yeah, we appreciate their work.
Yeah. Okay, so what's next for the
campaign,
system? I'm sorry, Netanel, you were saying?
Like when you think of any campaign, you know, as a marketer, like you want it to really be successful and reach out to get people engagement. For something like OpenideaL, where it's based on social proof, and it's based on the fact that, like, oh, there's an idea that now internally has, let's just say, 1,000 different comments or likes, and now we're pushing it out to the public. That's going to get a lot more attention from the outside. Essentially, could help a business recognize who their customer market is and what their customers actually want, and that's the way to build the engagement, using the internal to attract the external.
Okay, so the social proof element there is really important as well, because oftentimes if you're doing like a focus group or small sampling of your customers' sentiment, then you might get somebody who's really passionate about how they feel and really loud and very able to express their feelings, and it might color your results disproportionately. But if you have a wider sample of people and you can detect the trend of which ideas resonate well with them, then you have more confidence putting energy behind that. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. Cool. What's next for OpenideaL? I mean, what's the roadmap have? We talked a little bit about your, plans on how to take it to market differently, perhaps, but like in terms of the actual software development itself, what can we expect?
I think, we are working now on a machine learning module that part of it Zohar explained, that will be, I think, ready in 2-3 months, maybe released. This will be like a service component that will plug a module that will help the administrators to get more insights, like sentiment, but also will help the users, or will help the administrator to approach the users or to increase their engagement. So this is something that we are thinking of, not thinking, doing. The SaaS thing, SaaS PaaS thing is something that, or the module and that support this, it's something that is in our roadmap. Zohar, what do you see? Can we share more information?
Yes, from the feature, from the internal pure feature set. We are improving the whole experts involvement and expanding their role within the system. The experts is actually an idea that came directly. This is just a side note again. It's a feature that came from the ground from one of our clients in the aviation industry that required. They actually manage everything in a closed environment. Everything is secret, and all the ideas are like only shared with the author and a small group of experts, because every idea potentially becomes a patent at the end of the road, and they required it. So we have integrated this idea and this experts flow, and we are expanding it and adding more voting widgets, for example, more voting accesses, so more ways for evaluating the idea in a better way, in a richer way. Everything around group management, another tough migration from what we were used to in previous versions.
Without mentioning specific modules this time.
I'm not saying that. No names, no names. Exactly. The addition of skins. So Elroi mentioned earlier that different clients immediately want to change the way it looks and feels. So we have a very nice theme for the current version, but we understand that organization would like to change it, and we would like to give them as many tools as possible to do it without coding, which is also a non-trivial challenge in Drupal, as opposed, for example, to WordPress, where everything is around the front end and the back end. You don't want to know what happens over there.
Nobody knows.
But it's a jungle. It's a crazy jungle. Yeah, but this is the kind of things that I hope to integrate soon.
Cool, nice. So interestingly, just to mention, this is a very validated market that you're talking about for software. Little known to the world for obvious reasons. The very first job I ever had in IT was actually with an ideation software company. So an ideation web application. It was called Hype Software, and they're still in Bonn, Poppelsdorf, still going strong with an ideation, a Java-based ideation system that I worked on pretty much as an intern as my first job, and that was in 2001 or so. So that's 20 years ago.
I think they're still around. I came across their name.
They're definitely still
twice.
around. Yes. Yeah, they've done very well. They've focused just on that niche. They could have gone after many other verticals. There, at the beginning, the software was very generic, just a web application framework. But they focused on that and that exclusively, and it's been, for me, that's a really big validation of the ideation market, that it can sustain multiple competing web application softwares over a very long period of time, over 20 years. So there's definitely demand for this. And I wish you all the best of luck with this venture. And also thank you for giving your users the opportunity to easily deploy the software on Platform.sh. That's always appreciated when we can, help people together like that. Is there anything you want to say in closing before we sign off that we haven't already covered?
We want to say thank you and for inviting us here. And I would like to see many deployments of OpenideaL over Platform.sh. Thank you.
Yeah, I also want to thank you, Robert, and also the rest of the team in Platform. And that's maybe a message to other integrators that may want to deploy with you. The actual integration with Platform was very easy and straightforward. We had a small bug, and it was quickly taken care of. And yeah, it was really straightforward and easy. And I encourage other players to come in and integrate with you. And I invite everybody else to use OpenideaL, to download and to share ideas and to make a better world and better software also, if you're developers, so come and join us. And if not, just, walk on the grass and make it stronger.
Yeah, crush that grass. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Then
and crossbreed.
Exactly. Very important. So we'll end with that. Thanks for everybody who has watched or is watching this now. And come back next Friday for another episode with more exciting guests. So bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.